Let's see. Well, let's start out with a new creation here. We're going to give it a whole 1920 by 1080. No, we're not going to do that. I'm just going to do something smaller. Let's go 600 by 480. Yeah, that's nice and small. Okay, that's enough for us to do what we need to do. I'm going to do this with the mouse because I haven't hooked up the pad yet. And let's see. Let's use a paintbrush, select a size. What about my brushes here? Yeah, notice I've got the old navigator. I really enjoy having the navigator to flit around with. Alright, let's just paint a little bit. We're going to bring the brush size down. Maybe not that low. We'll get some broad strokes in here. Now the spacey hardness, let's turn the hardness down and force down to about 30 and 30 roughly. I don't care about smooth strokes or jitter or anything like that. We're just going to play around here. Notice I'm just being real random. Again, I'm using my mouse, so it's yeah. Maybe I should harden that up just a little bit. Let's get some other strokes going, and I'll harden it. You know, if I had lots and lots of time, this is just a demo, so if I had lots and lots of time, I would be happy with this. But since I don't have a whole heck of a lot of time, I'm going to turn up the hardness and the force back up a little bit. Yeah, that seems to do a little better. Now, if you could notice this, I'm really just being real random. Now I'm going to start getting a little more intentional here as we go. I'm starting to see things kind of come together now. You probably don't yet, but I do. Okay, I'll turn the brush size. Turn the brush size down here in just a second. Yeah, let's do that. Just go right around the sides. I don't want the sides real heavy there. Give it its own little vignette there. Okay, I'll turn the brush size down a little bit more. Yeah, that looks okay for now. Since there's nobody to talk to, I'm really being quiet. I know you'd be talking if you were here, right? You'd be saying, dude, why did you do that? Why do you do it? Why do you got to do it like that? Well, I am kind of fly by the seat of my pants type of guy. Just going to size way down. About 20. Yeah, that'll start making a difference. Now, with this point, I'm going to turn the hardness down and the force. Let's go back up to about 30 on each. I guess I could just click here, or I should be able to just type 30. Hit enter. That's good. Okay. I'm just going to make little hairy follicles here. I've done this before in other videos, other tutorials, and it makes things look pretty interesting. That's what we're after, right? We want to make things look groovy. Capture our onlookers. Capture their eyes so that they can see neat stuff. Let's get a little deeper with that one. Just all I'm doing is I'm just adding things that just kind of make things look better. What is that you say? I don't know yet. I haven't decided. We'll deal with that in a minute. This stuff just kind of happens. I mean, really doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have to look like anything in particular. I'm just playing. Making little patterns and designs. At this point, I want to give a shout out to all the incredible people on YouTube that do tutorials for all different types of things, music and art, computer software guys, hacking and just various and sundry things. I think it's neat that people will take the time and freely post things that help your life become better. I think that's good, and that's one of the reasons I'm doing this. I was trying to give back. Again, I'm doing this with a mouse, so it's taken me a long time. On Twitch, I'm called Armchair Artist, and I haven't really done much on Twitch, with the last couple of years of my life being what they are. I haven't really had time. Now of course with COVID, which I've had, by the way, and I lived, I made it through. My aunt was not so fortunate, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Rest in peace, Aunt Corey. I know that there's not a lot of light in here. Again, this is just a test. I'm just toying. I figured that I would publish this just because, because I can. Yeah, if it's good enough. If it's not good enough, well, you'll never see me talking here. You won't see me on screen anyway. So, some of your favorite YouTubers, who would they be? Make sure to post in the comments section down below there. And, I'm not monetized, so I don't make a dime right now on this stuff. So, if you like it, thank you. If you don't, thanks for watching up to the point where you don't like it, for whatever reason. A lot of times art is just stimulating enough to be soothing, and I know that sounds weird, but yeah, art can be just as much of a stimulant as a depressant, I guess. And I don't mean that art makes you depressed by any means, at least not intentionally. Unless you're intentionally trying to depress somebody. Some art is just, it's procedural, it's something that just happens, and I guess sometimes it can make you feel one thing or the other. So yeah, let's see, what else do I want to do right here? Let's go. This is all done with a mouse. I'm not using my stylus. I'm just blunking along here. Now you can make things sharper or fuzzier. It's up to you. I kind of like fuzzier art. I don't care necessarily about real sharp details. It doesn't have to be a million things. There's some times that I have done more sharp stylized work, but I don't really care. Don't care. I'm just in it for the fun, and if the final result is cool, then cool. Whatever. If not, hey, that's art. It's doesn't matter. Now I'm just taking the smudge tool. Let's put a little bit more pressure on the smudge tool, though. That's one thing I noticed. if you're working with smudge, it's nice to have something a little bit more smudgy. You know, the funny thing is, it's leaving little patterns on there that I don't like, so I'm just going to back that up. Don't have to back it up. All right, well, that's, you know, it's been a lot of fun to toy with, but I think we could do better. I think we can add some color and some texture and some procedural effects that just make this thing sing. So why don't we do that? I'm going to slide back over to the other screen size. And I could do a full screen, but I haven't programmed my OBS to do that just yet, or programmed. I guess I should say set that up. Okay, so we're back at the workspace now. Oh yeah, this is going to be much easier. Much easier. Still getting a little bit too much hardness there. I'm going to turn the force back down. Remove a couple of these guys. Oh, I guess it undid my force, didn't it? Doesn't matter. Brush size, let's bring that way down. Ourselves a lucky number there. Now, you notice too that, okay, like right here, if I start in the black and drag this way, it's the black that goes. If I start in the white and drag this way, you get white across it like that. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That means you can pretty much grab whatever color that you want to spread around. Shall we zoom in a little bit? I know it's very pixelated, but it doesn't matter. So, for instance, if I wanted to smooth this out, maybe pull a little bit more black up into this area, I could do that. If I wanted to blur the lines a little bit, you just come right to where that crosshair is, if you've got crosshairs enabled. If not, just use the center of the brush size and just kind of skirt around the edges, and it will smooth that out a lot. And of course, now if I wanted to make I don't know, let's just come over here and change this to white. I'll brush size down just a little bit more for what we're doing. That might be too tiny. I know I said I didn't like real detailed stuff, but that's not always the case with me. And I just totally changed that to the smudge. So I turn the go back to that one. You can hit these little guys right here in GIMP and go back to the defaults. The hardness. Sometimes I like the hardness up a little bit when I'm working with the brush. And of course you can change the brush here too and pick whatever you want. I kind of like sticking with these. They seem to give me just as good of an effect as anything else. I know I'm dillying around here. Dilly-dally. Okay, let's try this. See what we get. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add little guys out here. Just spread this around a bit. Oh, my son's online. I've got an Xbox, and I guess I inadvertently keep tabs on everybody. And obviously I've got an Xbox too. I really enjoy playing Diablo when I get the chance. I'm an old video gamer from the old guard. I mean, we're talking about Sierra's the Incredible Machine era, and what I mean by old guard, I mean Pong old. Back when you blew your allowance on video games during lunch break at the bowling alley or something. Anyway, I'm just toying with this, just kind of pulling little lines and making little shapes out here, just kind of toying with it. And what that does is it simulates light up on the face of something. And if that doesn't make any sense, what we'll do, we'll go back and we'll blur it. Use this little, actually we need the blur tool. Can't remember what the blur tool is on this thing. I've recently reinstalled GIMP on my Linux box, so this is a Linux Mint 20 with a GIMP Flatpak. And I'm not sure I like the Flatpak, but it's not, I mean, it's not terrible. It just, it feels like it doesn't work the same as the other one. Trying to get my my universal tool on the toolbar here, and for some reason I just can't seem to find it. I thought this was it, but that's the twisty tool. Oh, I guess there we go. We discovered something. Unified transform. That's what I wanted. Okay. Well, that's not too bad then. I guess you just hold those down and change to whatever, like if you wanted a cage transform or whatever. I usually use that one a lot. Anyway, so this is the, okay, so blur and sharpen. Okay, so I'm just going to blur this edge a little bit, which is, you know, you could do the same thing with your smudge tool, but I think blur is just a little more rapid approach. For those of you who haven't guessed, I really have serious ADHD and ABCD and ACDC and all that. I don't know. I may or may not be on the spectrum. Who knows? Okay, I'm going to back out and take a look. Okay. Now you can see over here in the navigator that's highlighted here what that looks like from a distance. So that's one way, of course, of sharpening details. You don't want to kill all of your shadows or your lights, but you want to blend them in such a way that you get sharps and blurry. There's balance. Your shadows or the places that are further from your eye are things you're not focused on, so those are going to be fuzzier. If you back out, you could see a little bit more sharpness and more definition coming into it. Now you could do that for each one of these, and it's kind of a fun little exercise to do it. Or you could just, you know, don't worry about it. Don't worry about those things for now. Again, this is just a test. Let's do this. One thing we can do, let's start working with layers, because that's the beauty of technology. We could just make layers. And so what I'm going to do is go here and pull that brush up. Now let's start pouring some black in here. I want to start really darkening the shadow layers. So we'll switch that to black, and we're going to go in here. I want this really dark. And it looks like I'm destroying it. You know, like they'd say on Twitch about Bob Ross, ruined. No, we're good. We're golden. You'll see. I want a lot of shadow in this area. And a little bit running through down here. Maybe down here like this too. And maybe get a little bit of shadow going through here. Now here's the trick for me anyway. I like to pour shadows out. I like to just throw them and push layers into the background as much as possible. And so I might see something like this and go, you know, that there's going to be a little shadow right in here, and there might be a little more shadow up in there, and there might just be a shadow on some of this stuff here, even over the stuff we just worked on. So we're going to go like that. Why am I doing this? It's very difficult to explain. But my background for the last 30 years roughly is in tattooing. And so there's a lot of idealization that goes on, and obviously that's what I'm doing anyway. And so what's going to happen now is I'm going to take this and I'm going to come up to the filters, and I'm going to go blur, and apply a light Gaussian blur. Gaussian. I don't care how you want to pronounce it. I don't care how it's pronounced. I've never taken the time to, actually bother with it. Now that's blurry enough. Now what we could do is we could change the opacity layer and just move that back until it looks kind of neat. Then you can come back, and I'm just using the mouse wheel to change this stuff. Great, that's good enough for that layer. We're just going to let that be. Now we're going to move on to adding a little bit more white. This white stuff is a lot of fun. Obviously, you can see I'm just doing this in black and gray right now. We're going to add some color and splotch a little this and that on there later, but we're going to do that in another layer because we can. Let's do that, and we'll change the brush and go back to, what was it, about, I don't know, 13, something like that. That's fine. What we're doing is we're adding something that is called specularity. And I'm just taking, you see these little areas in here that where the black comes it looks like it's coming up and down and up and down. Any place that it's a little closer to the light, I'm going to add a little bit of a shine there. And what happens is you get kind of a smooth ridge up on the top there. You can do that like that. I'm just see, that's why I love this navigator. I mean, I could do the same thing by holding down the space bar, but it's just much easier for me to leave my right hand alone and just work with my left, because I'm left-handed. You'll notice that I'm not being real accurate, or this art is not necessarily beautiful. I'm not trying to make pretty art. I'm trying to make art that is fun to make. It's more of an exercise for me, and if people like what it looks like, man, great. But I'm not trying to make anything in particular. These are just organic and biomechanic type effects. As you probably know by my other videos, I really like Mr. H.R. Giger. That was for the pronunciation Nazis. That's like when people say Linux. It's not Linux. It's Linux, as he would pronounce it. I've heard Linus Torvalds or Linus Torvalds say the word. It's pronounced Linux. Well, in the comparable, that means Linux. I mean, in the States, everybody pronounces their vowels a little different in different countries. And of course, Mr. Torvalds is not from here. And by here I mean the United States. And I'm not even sure he's from this world. The guy was brilliant. He is brilliant. But he was brilliant for embarking on his own and putting out an operating system that was far superior to everything else, in my opinion. And it's free. Did I mention that? The only thing you'll spend money on is training, because it does have quite a steep learning curve. The cool thing about I don't know what I was going to say there. I've got a condition called OMS. I don't know if some of you guys have it. It's called old man syndrome. And I'm just doing a couple little things, and I'm gonna flare this out a little bit. For a test, this is getting awfully busy. You know what? Let's just call it good. The reason I'm not going into the shadows is obviously you're not going to have such white specularities on that other stuff. We want to smudge this time. So I'm just going to come kind of back and forth, side to side there, and just smudge it out just lightly. Like this right in here, we're going to smudge the holy living heck out of that. And these can go wherever you want them to go. I mean, if you see something that you want to do it, because it really is your art. And you know, I could come in here with a big fuzzy eraser too, and if I didn't like something, I could say, oh, there's a little too much right there. I got to get rid of that. And of course, you could just smudge out, but because it's on another layer, you're not damaging any of the background stuff. So that's fine. And see, I did actually get into the black. I should have created another layer, but didn't. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Again, we're just having fun here. That leaves the highlights and the specularities there without damaging them too much. You could bring some down here and then spread that out a little bit. That simulates like we've got something going on there, some different type of texture in there. Oh yeah, I could bring that down there, and I don't want to bring too much out there. Actually, let's go back to the eraser. What's happening here as I erase, I'm erasing into the black that I just laid down. We're going to back that up, and I'm just going to leave. I'm going to leave this bit alone. Little tricks you'll learn as you go is make sure, number one, to create a lot of layers. It's okay to work in layers. Oh, I think I remembered what I was going to say. There's been a lot of people online here doing tutorials, and this reaches all the way back to who your favorite streamer is. For whatever reason, they use the word go ahead a lot in everything they do. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and grab this brush, or now we're going to go ahead and add this section to our bash script, or we're going to go ahead and play, we're going to go E to G, then back to E and up to F. But we're always going to go ahead and do that. But I know that if you truncated all the go-aheads out of some of these guys' posts, you would go ahead and find yourself watching about 15 minutes less of a video. That stuff stacks up. It really does. I'm learning OBS. It's so much fun. Well, I'm actually relearning it. They added a lot of stuff since I used it. It's about 3 years ago. I rather enjoyed it, especially on Twitch. I added a few things. When I first started adding videos to YouTube, I can't even remember what I was capturing with. Maybe a free copy of Camtasia, which was that was a lot of fun. It was nice. Oh yeah, that really helped. We can actually darken this stuff up again. I'm not going to continue to do all of this. And also, to those people that I offended by talking about your go-ahead business, I realize that I say it too, and I think that it's something about your audience. You want them to go ahead with what you're doing or with what you're suggesting, the methods and whatnot. If I say it too much, I make no guarantees one way or the other whether or not I'm a flippin' hypocrite. I'm just me. I'm just picking on people for fun, I guess. I mean no disrespect, of course. Like I said, those people out there that are doing tutorials, they're not necessarily doing it for their own gratification. A lot of them are selfless enough to be able to offer their expertise free of charge just because they love to help people, and that is really cool. So think about that. Why do we hoard our knowledge? Why do we hoard what we have been given? A lot of people hoard it and squander it at the same time. It's like they're really good at something, but they never do anything with it. And that's just, I guess it's a little sad to see talented people just fester. I don't know. All right, I'm just gonna smush this out a little bit. Some of this stuff is you can really just shove it around. It's like big old globs of paint. You work it. Little random shapes really work in a lot of cases. Okay, we're almost done with that now. If you're still with me, that's cool. Okay, so all these little white gadgets here, I can blur them all out individually, or just do it this way. I mean, clearly, this one right here shouldn't even exist. So I'm going to do another layer and change some things a little bit. Just smudge this out a little bit there. We're almost done. Again, I'm just getting smudgy. If you wanted to, I mean, you could zoom way in. I mean, just create like pixel size and change things. And the best way to do that, if you want to do it in a raster graphic format, is to squint. I use glasses because otherwise I can't see worth a clam. You know, you can work pixel to pixel, but on a large image, that takes up an enormous amount of time, and it's not necessary. I'm going to show you that you can get wonderful effects. In fact, I'm not even going to continue smudging that out right over there. We've got enough stuff there, and you saw what we started with. You know, you could have quite a visual impact with very little time spent. I mean, yes, we've been chatting a little bit. I think what are we at now? About 40 minutes. I don't usually do really super long tutorials, especially when it was never intended to be a tutorial, more of just a chat session. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to create another layer here. Let's put a little color on it. And I'm just going to do a procedural plasma color. The cool thing about real random graphics like this is that they're stretchable, and so it doesn't really matter if you skew the design or warp it or whatever you want to do to it. It's still going to look reasonably good. So we're going to go Tool, Filter. Is it Filter I'm looking for? Let's see. Yes, Render. You can render fractals. Those are fun. Render a plasma. It's right here. And that does some interesting stuff. We could change the turbulence. That could be fun as well. And of course, you can always change the seed. And it just makes things more random. That's kind of pretty. Let's use that one. That'll brighten things up to some regard. We'll go OK. Now we're going to take and do what's called transfer mode. The transfer mode is this bar that sits right here. It says mode. Now, if your screen's moved around and you've changed locations on your panels or whatever, it'll be wherever you put it. So for me, in a default configuration, it's right over here. Now I'm going to come down to this guy down here called Overlay. Yeah, that looks rather nice. Now, because that plasma is kind of grainy, we're going to change that a little bit. Although it doesn't look bad. I mean, we're number one. Let's see. This is regular size. If you zoom in, let's say you used it as a desktop wallpaper or something, you skewed it to the resolution of your monitor, you could zoom in, and you would see that it's very granular. And although I'm not opposed to things looking like that, I would like to see what it would look like with just a little bit of a blur, a little bit smoother, because again, we're right on the top here. We've indicated that this is a smooth surface, right? So what we'll do, we'll take this and let's come up to Where are we at here? Tool filter. Yeah, so we want to go to filter blur, and then I'm just going to do another Gaussian blur. So there's a little bit of texture there still, but it looks smoother. We'll back up a little bit. Yeah, there's that looks pretty cool. We'll come down here into this other layer. Notice I switched the layer from this top part down to here. I know that this was a really major color cheat, but it's very handy. I mean, that's the beauty of the plasma filter, is it instantly colorizes everything and makes it look fantastic. And you know, save yourself a little bit of time. I mean, I've made it hard enough on myself as it is, when these are actually very, very simple. You know, they're just really easy. And nothing you can't do, that's for doggone sure. You can do this stuff. I am going to turn the light down just a little bit and see what that looks like. So the opacity of this layer, if we go all the way down here, you could see how the lights and the darks are making a big difference. That's really important. See, that's a little too much, and this is not enough because we don't have any highlights. So you got to find that sweet spot. You find that sweet spot and your art is going to look amazing. We could change transfer modes on this layer. Let's experiment. Open this button up, the mode button, pop it once, and select normal. Now you can use your mouse wheel to just kind of scroll through and take a look and see the different effects. Ooh, that's kind of yucky. A lot of that stuff's yucky. And this might work, this might not work. Sometimes adding a little bit of a opacity difference or an overlay or maybe a multiply. Another thing you could do, I'm going to go back to normal on the mode there, because I think that what we initially drew looked good. So we're going to we'll leave it. But in case you're wondering, you can do some different things. You could take this layer and duplicate it. Just come up to duplicate, and that really puts the squash on things, doesn't it? Or it really threw a lot more color because it's overlaying one over the other. Well, let's change it. Let's go back to the modes and change the modes. Let's see what happens. You can get all kinds of different flavors and little tidbits in there. You really can. It's so fun. Another thing you could do, you could change. Let's go back up to normal mode, and then come up to colors, invert, and then change the opacity. It's almost like you've added a little bit of a cloud in there. Okay, well, now that that's done, now try changing the modes. There's all kinds of things you can do. You know, maybe we didn't want the background that dark. Now we've brightened it up a little bit with just that little trick. You can flip the colors and change them. Let's come back up to normal. And to check that, we just turn it on and off. See there? Guys, it's your deal. It's whatever you want to do. And then I'm going to change the color a little bit. Now you can come up to the colors here and go hue and saturation. You can change the temperature, or you could click on this little guy that is called curves. But you can see how that's changing things a little bit. So you could fine tune what's there in the background if you wanted. So if we go back one, you'll see the differences. It's not really a huge difference. It's very subtle. That's a nice thing about having multiple layers in your history, though. So where we added that layer, we can come back and go, okay, I just wanted to back that off just a little bit, maybe add a little bit of color, and then you can check it against what you have. That one's a little more pleasing to the eye even without this layer, isn't it? That's how I'm going to leave it. I'll sign my name to it later, but typically I do that very inconspicuously in a font that's very hard to miss, but is very hard to see. It doesn't show up very much. That way my info's there if somebody wants to take the time to dig for it. I'm going to call that done. Thank you for watching. I know we covered a lot of nothing, but that's the way I roll. And so if you like that, come back and see me sometime.